Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Take 5, the podcast where we look at 5 films that exemplify the excellence and range of one of cinema's greats. Right now, we're covering Steven Spielberg. By the way, I'm Austin Luger.
I'm Ray Martindale.
And today we're covering the film Minority Report. In the past 3 weeks, we have talked about the film Jaws, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Schindler's List, and next week we're going to finish it up with Munich. But today we're doing Minority Report, which is maybe the oddest choice, I think, on our list. Steven Spielberg is someone who has so many amazing films, like E.T., and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Jurassic Park. These are very, very popular films.
I don't like two of those 4 you just named.
I like one.
Okay.
But Minority Report is something that we wanted to cover because, in many ways, it shows his popcorn spirit and taking popcorn spirit very seriously. But this is kind of this is the dark period of Steven Spielberg. He made AI during this time. Saving Private Ryan was a couple years before that. It's not the very light Spielberg that we know. And this is the story. It's based on a Philip K. Dick short story of a man who works for pre-crime, which, thanks to 3 psychics, they can stop murders before they happen. And after he is shown to be having a murder in 36 hours, they start to question the ethics of this while he's on the run from his entire division.
Yeah, they see his murder. They're keeping
his murder that he is playing out.
Yes, that he will commit, and he doesn't. It's weird that you would commit a murder. Actually, it's really dumb
if you know exactly how it works.
Exactly,
Yeah.
But he's supposed to kill someone he's never met before.
Yeah, and it's played by Tom Cruise, one of the major precogs from the Psychics, played by Samantha Morton. You also got Max von Sydow and Colin Farrell, and that guy from Justified. Everyone.
Yeah. So yeah, I was the one that really I fought for Minority Report on this. This was sort of my 5. I got to pick Spielberg's 5, but under Austin's guidance as well.
Yes. Everyone's 5.
Exactly. And Minority Report, I was saying there'll probably never be an example like this again, except for maybe when we cover Kubrick one day, because you're not as big of a fan like I am when I think he's incredible.
It'll be a great episode.
So other than that, this is going to be probably the only example where the 5 films we're covering happen to be my 5 favorite Spielberg films. I think and also coinciding with that, the 5 favorite also being what I think are the 5 best Spielberg films, and all for sort of different reasons. You're right, it is dark. It is serious sci-fi. It's creepy. They're keeping these women, or one woman, 2 men as slaves, these precogs, because they can predict the future. No one talks about their rights in the film. It's an ultimate... We don't get political on the podcast we did last time, but it's kind of a libertarian piece in a lot of different ways. But it's interesting about this film. It's also goofy as hell.
And that is what threw me off this time.
Okay. The movie's really goofy, and I said if Steven Spielberg did a rated R Beetlejuice sci-fi film, it was probably Minority Report. There's a scene in the film where he chases his eyes bouncing down a ramp
with a Poppy John Williams score.
Yeah, and it's goofy. It's a goofy film, but all of it works for me. It really does. So let's get this out of the way. It was too goofy for you.
So this is episode 24 of our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I have rewatched every film that we've covered, and I've never seen a new one, but I've been really glad I've rewatched them. And only 2 films have kind of gone down on that rewatch, but barely.
Yeah.
This and High and Low.
Okay.
Which both kind of just went to 4-star ranges.
Mm-hmm.
Random with that. The goofiness really threw me off because the movie begins so well and is so strong with its very brilliant look at the future and very chilling look at the way we're dealing with crime and ethics. And then you get the first chase scene he has. And it's an Indiana Jones kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's jumping up and down cars. He's going through this and whatnot. There's a moment where you think he's about to be crushed by a car machine. I'm like, what is... And at one point, Colin Farrell does this, 80s high school bully moment where he, puts his fist in his thing and points at him.
I love that you said Indiana Jones because it's exactly what I thought, only it thrilled me. I thought it was almost as if Steven Spielberg, particularly with that scene, because there isn't really a scene like that the rest of the film, and there are other action set pieces, but that's like, it really does strike you as Indiana Jones' adventure, because
only in that scene.
Only in that scene, but I almost felt like it was Spielberg saying, I can still do this. Okay. It's been a long time since he did it, and he wanted to do something like that, and it's just so convenient, a la calling back to Indiana Jones, that they think he's going to be crushed in a car while it's being built at the factory. Guess what? He drives the car that's built right out of there.
And smirks at them.
And smirks at them, which is, yes, that's Spielberg all over the place.
I thought the film had a lot of good action sequences that fit better with the tone. Kind of earlier in the same sequence when all the guys are surrounding him, and he starts to kind of use all their weapons against them, like the really cool slidey gun thing that's
okay, since you brought it up, that's my favorite sci-fi weapon. That's better than the lightsaber to me.
Oh, it's
that
awesome.
Is the greatest weapon in cinema. But for people who don't know, it looks like a big noisemaker.
Yeah.
That when you twist and spin it, it loads the gun and fires a sound wave.
Yeah. It's awesome because also the way they do this, and this is just Spielberg touches all over, you have the cops who have that use it kind of very formally, kind of, the gun is pointed upwards and they kind of twist it like that. But when Tom Cruise, super cop, has it, he's going like below and that. He's like walking like this. He's
like a hula hoop.
He's doing the coolest things with it. Like he's like all like gun smoke, twisting the guns thing. So yeah, a couple of scenes were a bit too goofy. The eyeball scene, I thought I was watching a different film. That was an insane 2 minutes.
There's this random... Well, and also there's this... It's not random, but it was set up with Peter Stormare. So something that's really cool about this dystopian future is that you're retinal scanned everywhere. And when you are, ads pop up that are catered literally to you. So if you've been
like how the internet works.
Exactly. Now it does. Exactly. There's a lot of predictions that come true in this film, and one I want to talk on a little bit later. But, so what you'll have happen in this film is if, let's say you bought a shirt at the Gap. So the next time you walk into the Gap, 4 months later, it scans your eyes and it says, oh, hey, Mr. Martindale, how was that shirt you bought 4 months ago? Can we interest you in it catering to you? So since he's on the lam, they're looking for him, he's got to get a new pair of eyes, which has sort of become this black market surgery that you kind of got to get. And the person that performs it on it, because who else could it be, is Peter Stormare. Because it has to be him.
One of my notes here is asking, do you think that Peter Stormare is happy this is his typecast?
I mean, he's got to be, right?
He's the weirdest, grossest character in every movie.
Yeah, so I have like a really random story about how I met Peter Stormare.
I want to hear this.
Yes, so I worked briefly, I say briefly, but I'd worked there briefly at the time, an animal hospital in Chicago, and he was a client there.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a dog named Duke. Peter Stormare.
Does this break confidentiality at all?
No, I never said the place that I worked at.
Then we're fine.
And I never said what was wrong with his pet.
Save me an edit.
Yeah, I just thought that was really interesting.
That's great.
But anyway, and I didn't say what we talked about or whatever. But.
And also, a typecast weirdo in this film, Tim Blake Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
He plays the guy who holds all the bodies of almost murderers in this crazy cell-like thing of all tubes that go up and down. Very efficient.
So if you are caught by pre-crime, you're put into timeout, essentially, rather than prison. You're basically in this comatose state in a prison that's really just you in a coma, asleep.
But they still like visions and whatnot. Like you still have some consciousness. Like your brain is still very active.
It's the most horrifying prison I've ever heard of in my life.
It's so creepy. Well, let's talk a little about the tech. I had one more negative thing about the film. I want to
get the negative out of the way. Obviously, I like the movie.
I like it quite a bit. I have so many positive things, but those tone off scenes, and also, but in the whole film, Tom Cruise is miscast in this film. Because Tom Cruise plays the entire character so intense that it's distracting. This is a guy who is very hardcore about his job, but his only time off, all he does is take drugs and watch videos of his family that he's lost. This is a very, very broken man, and Tom Cruise just can't portray broken. Like, I could think, like, what if Edward Norton played this role?
Okay, so when we do the Magnolia podcast at some point, I want you to play the sound bit where you say Tom Cruise. No.
Sure.
I want you to play the sound bite where you said Tom Cruise can't play broken.
No, because I just watched that for the Immortals a couple months ago, and I thought about like that role as well. Because in that,
Tom Cruise is a really good actor.
I think the really good actor. This is the only role I think he's miscast in, because that movie is brilliant because his brokenness is hidden by his intensity, and that's not what I thought this character did. Like, he was so intense for everything that this is a guy who's supposed to be a drug addict mess when he goes home, but it's still like Tom Cruise, not a hero out of place, like not blinking for 2 hours.
I have an Achilles.
Ethan Hunt.
No, okay. I have an Achilles heel to film, and it's Tom Cruise. This is an argument that I always fight with people to, the 4 a.m. film conversations that film snobs have with their friends real late at night. I think Tom Cruise is a great actor. I don't think Tom Cruise is ever miscast. I think he's brilliant. I think he always makes it work.
I love Tom Cruise. It's my first time thinking it.
Okay. Well, I really do. So maybe I'm blinded by that. Mm-hmm. I don't know necessarily what it is, but I think Tom Cruise is great in this film.
I guess because he's so...
If he didn't care so much, the movie would be really goofy to me. And it's not.
Yeah.
He grounds it. I feel like his intensity is something that is relatable in this otherwise completely unrelatable existence.
I think he's awesome during the action scenes. I think he's awesome during the times when he's... Because he's also...
Cruise is always awesome during his action scenes. Man. Come on.
He runs so intensely. It's awesome.
Everybody runs.
Everybody
runs.
And it's a beautiful moment because, like, it's my turn. And it's almost like a game. Like, if you can beat the cops, you can get away with this.
Yeah. John, don't do this. Don't run. Everybody runs. And I remember that. I'm pretty sure that was the tagline for the film. Like,
was it?
Everybody runs,
cool. Yeah. And I really enjoyed those moments. I really enjoy because this is a character who is a drug addict who spends his only free time reenacting videos with his dead kid.
Which, okay, so getting at the crime, right?
Yes.
So he ends up killing this person because this person is, at least in the vision that the precogs see, is this vision of him actually killing a person who he's never met, but what he discovers is this is the person that murdered his son. Now, your bad movie would just end there.
Yeah.
What makes this great is, oh, wait, no. He was about to discover something about the person who invented pre-crime, played by Max von Sydow, and to cover up this secret he was about to discover, he staged it like this person was the person who murdered his son, which it leads to an inherent sadness that I feel like is missed after the end of this film, which is, actually, we never find who murdered his son.
No.
That person got away with it. And so that's really sad. But also, when it push comes to shove and he's in that room and he's like, I am going to kill you, he doesn't do it.
Yeah. Which,
you still have a choice. That's like that question about, I always ask this about God. Like, so God is an all-knowing thing, right? Mm-hmm. And pre-crime in this is an all-knowing thing. It's acting as God. But the problem with God being all-knowing is if God is all-knowing, then I don't really have free will.
Correct.
So that paradox has always been something that it's something I've always been really interested in. Mm-hmm. And this movie taps into that for me because he doesn't kill Leo Crow.
And the only way to prevent that sort of lack of free will, the predestination, is only if you have the knowledge about the predestination.
Okay.
And that's what makes the ending such a great thing, because this is a film that you really can't pull out a gun and threaten somebody because that doesn't work in this world anymore. Mm-hmm. So once Tom Cruise is broken out of his cell and whatnot, he's going after Max von Sydow in the big climactic thing, he... There's now the third person in this movie who's just confessing to Max von Sydow. Max von Sydow goes, well, gotta kill someone else now. And
he does.
And Max von Sydow has this awesome-looking Civil War gun and whatnot. And
Max von Sydow's awesome.
Max von Sydow's awesome. And what's amazing is that Tom Cruise is so intimate about how murders work and are prevented in this world, and also he knows about how it's set up, that he's on there in the roof. And it's actually the only real brilliant climactic showdown because he reveals how it works. He goes, we both have knowledge this is going to happen. Now you have free will again.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful moment, and Spielberg does that because it's really kind of breaking the way I do an action film.
And also, you get nervous as an audience member, but the fact of the matter is, if Max von Sydow... Well, it has sort of said that debate. If Max von Sydow was going to kill him, wouldn't they have gotten there in time? I don't know.
No, they actually brilliantly sci-fi get around that because the red ball system in the precogs is for murders of passion.
Yeah, and the other one's premeditated.
And the reason why this one was even later than usual is because Tom Cruise is actively using precog visions because nothing would have happened unless he made the phone call and he knows how short the time window will be. The sci-fi in this thing is incredible.
It actually works pretty well.
It works insanely well in so many ways.
It's sci-fi plus fantasy, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in there, too.
Unless
you believe in people that are clairvoyant.
Right. This is a debate I was having to say. Is this film, would you call this a time travel film?
No.
I would, actually.
You would? Okay, explain.
Because it's essentially...
You wouldn't ask the question if you weren't going to say yes. So
yeah.
Let's see.
Be weird if I said no. We just went on.
Yeah. Would you call this a sci-fi film? Or time travel film? No. Me neither. Moving on.
You call it a submarine film? Nope. Neither would I.
Is this a war film?
Yes. No. Essentially, it has every nature of a time travel movie except for someone actually moving differently in time. But instead of having... Like, the movie's source code technically doesn't have the person's body move actually in time. It's kind of the mind moving anyways. Which is weird. Actually, I can't remember how that all works. But basically, they're experiencing the past and future and using the events from the past and future to change the ramifications of what they're doing. Much like the film, I don't know, Frequency. They're doing everything about time travel and using the nature of time.
Okay, so it is a time travel film, but it's a time travel film that... Okay, so it's time travel in the sense that if you live in, like, the fourth dimension.
Yes.
If you say that time exists as a linear plane that I can visit here or here at any given time, like Dr. Manhattan and Watchmen,
sure,
then yes, it is time travel.
And also they can shift the outcome.
Yes.
Which is very interesting.
Okay. And I always assumed Dr. Manhattan could.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, you know, that works. There's one thing I want to get out before we move on. Just really fast.
Yeah.
The reason why Max von Sydow is the villain is because, and what John Anderton was going to uncover was that, Tom Cruise's character, was that he murdered the most powerful precog's mother in order to keep the precog and save pre-crime. Mm-hmm. And he got away with murder in a pretty brilliant way.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I keep telling it, Spielberg's such a brilliant visual person. You get to always see what the precog saw.
Yeah.
They always make sure you get to see every single bit of footage. It's not like, oh wait, here's another file we didn't look at. Everything is always there. Everything is always visible.
There's a mystery to it, though. That's like nice.
Yeah. And something I thought was very, very brilliant this time watching it was, I think the opening sequence, basically them stopping a murder to show how the whole world works, is a pretty much perfect short film. And so many things are amazing about it because, especially how. And they set you up of the film going to judge you for assuming, because
and it should.
Yeah, it should. It's brilliant because assuming is you preventive, you know, thoughts and whatnot.
You cannot arrest someone for a crime they didn't commit.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Wrong. Yeah,
that's insane. It's literally insane. And I understand they use one of the stupidest things in the world to justify it. Whenever Tom Cruise in this film rolls a ball and then Colin Farrell catches it and he says, "Why did you catch it?" And he says, "Because it was going to fall." And he said, "But it didn't fall yet. You caught it." No, screw that. The ball.
Like that scene.
No, I'll tell you why it's dumb. Because the ball was falling when he caught it.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's dumb. No, you rolled the ball. It was falling, and I caught it while it was falling. Like that's why it's a dumb scenario.
If we're gonna mention dumb Colin Farrell moments, there's one worse when.
No, let me explain. Let me finish this.
Yeah, okay.
If Colin Farrell had stopped the ball mid-roll because he had estimated that it was going to fall off the desk, then it would have been correct.
Yeah. Okay.
But he couldn't estimate that because no one could do that math like that quickly.
Yeah.
So he caught it while it was falling. That's different. That's like giving CPR to someone who's choking on a piece of food, or giving the Heimlich to someone who's choking on a piece of food. Well, why are you giving the Heimlich? Because they're choking. Yeah. That's different than saying, I hate that part. I hate. That's my only part hilarious. Of the film I hate. Because that is such a bad example of actually what this is. So
the part that bugged me was a throwaway line, but when they recognize that Agatha has been taken away, and like, we gotta go get her, and Colin Farrell goes, no, she's already part of his future. I want them to all go, do you not get what we do? This is literally what we prevent from happening.
No, nobody's saying is we have to catch up to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have
it was bad shorthand.
Okay, so Colin Farrell's character in this film is great. I love Colin Farrell in this film, and you'll never hear me say that, ever.
He is very underrated to me.
No, he is underrated, but his movies suck. That's the problem. Most of them really suck. But what I love about it, he's the only cop in the film.
He is.
He's the only actual police officer in the film.
What do you think about? I thought it was super interesting when they kept touching upon religion, because his character is very
deeply
religious, which I think is great.
Yeah,
I loved when he kept making like symbols to himself and whatnot. I thought
kissing St. Christopher Middle.
I thought that was awesome, and especially when like the other pre-crime guys like, yeah, we kind of are more like clergy than cops, so we don't do anything. Like,
that's a pretentious line.
Oh, it is, but like, but like, it's so interesting. Where like, he is the only cop. Like, when there's an actual murder scene in the film, he goes like, "I've actually been at these."
Yeah, orgy of evidence.
Yeah,
and the first time I saw this film, I remember seeing like all those pictures there and saying, "This is really stupid. Why would this guy just have these pictures out?" Also, why are they still printing pictures in 2059?
Yeah.
That's goofy. One thing I wanted to bring up that it will be in the future. This guy that builds the tech that sort of puts this pre-crime computer together is this guy who runs this sort of nefarious virtual reality thing where you can go there and have any fantasy you'd like done in virtual reality.
That guy is super creepy.
Yeah, he's really weird. And there's a lot of quirky, weird people in this film.
Oh, yeah. Everyone.
yeah, everyone. But, so, like, my favorite part is, like, one of those, you're the man, Dave. No, you're the man. Some guy just in a virtual reality saying that to some business guy like he's just done some great business deal. There will come a time, and I don't know if it'll be like that, but this is for sure. There will be virtual reality where you can go in and murder all your classmates. That will exist. At some point, we're headed in that direction as far as VR is concerned. And I'm not saying it's going to be sanctioned. You're not going to be able to buy it at your local Walmart. But someone will be able to provide that service. And that's really creepy to me. That to me, was science fiction. And to me, science fiction is only really science fiction if it can be science fact. That's why I think Star Wars is actually fantasy and not actual science fiction. Is that, oh, crap, yeah, that's coming. It's coming quick. Like,
some of the things I caught in this film that technology did catch up to. Remember when that came out, all of it was super cool about how Tom Cruise's character would keep moving his hand to kind of move all things on screen.
Yeah.
Those are all the symbols we use now for our iPhones.
iPhones and iPads.
Yeah. Exactly the exact same movements of how to increase the same thought process behind it. All the newspapers are digital, and a lot of them have cheap GIFs on it. Yep, that's today.
Yep.
And we're working on self-driving cars.
Yep, we sure are.
But I want to talk briefly about the opening sequence, because something so interesting about it.
Did I cut you off earlier? I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. This was all really good, and I want to... It's time travel, man.
Time travel, man. We're going back.
Yeah, and this was so cool because of how Spielberg played with the structure, and again, it's judging you for assuming very early on. And it's very good for a twisty kind of film. So when you see what the precogs pulled out for this upcoming murder is going to happen, you see an image of scissors going through someone's eye socket of this paper kind of thing. It looks very creepy. It looks like a serial killer kind of thing. You see him saying, I'm lost without my glasses kind of thing. It's not a serial killer thing. It's a kid's project. And you're seeing a callback before you've heard the original thing. You're literally taking, if you have a linear story, you're taking everything out of order and messing with the structure and making you not understand what's going on. As opposed to Tom Cruise's visions, which are not like that because they're falsified. The creepy image of the woman laughing on the couch, it's just her laughing on the couch.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Like there's nothing like out of place. This is all just organized, and because real life, when you look at something out of context, it will always be so firmly out of context. And Spielberg was so awesome with that. And something also really cool about that sequence is that he takes a long time showing you how the balls were made, the red ball and whatnot. And it's a piece of wood, and it's being like lasered out into actual ball shape. The only place in the entire movie that has like wooden furniture and such is that house. They keep going back to a very like Apple Store kind of landscape. Yeah. And you saw a long time this wooden.
It's the only thing that feels familiar.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so many cool things going on, and then they keep playing with that a lot. Like he does very subtle things, like the way where Colin Farrell and Tom Cruise say the same word at the same time. It's just that they're playing with assumption and predestination in a really clever, fun way. It's a really good movie. It's a lot of smart things going on.
It is. It was a movie, too, that spawned a lot of weird things that never caught on after that. I'm kind of surprised by that, because there was a video game, and I run a video game channel, I'm not ashamed to admit, but there was I think a PlayStation 2 game called Minority Report. I never played it, but it had like someone who wasn't the main character on the cover shooting back at someone, and the tagline was "Everybody runs." I thought that was odd, and it was also a TV show.
Do you know the premise of the TV show?
No.
Oh man! So I didn't watch it because I heard what it was about, and I looked it up yesterday to make sure I was right about this. This was
when I said that just now, I go, man, I really hope it was a TV show, and I just
it was.
Pull at it.
This was a very big Fox bomb that aired in the last TV season, and it's a sequel to Minority Report. It's still called Minority Report. So pre-crime has been shut down because in this film they very firmly say it's a bad thing, but this show says, well, what if it's a great thing? And Dash, one of the precogs, teams up with an FBI agent, and together they solve crimes by he looking in the future, and they stop all the crimes from happening. Every once in a while, they go back to his siblings, and, you know, they both have very specified psychic powers and whatnot. She's better at this, and he's better at this. And together they all solve crimes, because the show says pre-crime is great.
That's...
Yeah. Also, literally, there's not a Minority Report in it.
Well, I was going to say, once we went on with this, shouldn't we talk about what a Minority Report is? Because Austin has said often that he hates prophecy in film and movies, because the problem with prophecy is it always has to come true. Minority Report is an example of that not happening, which is great, and I'm sure you love that. But also that for a long time in this film, we think that John Anderton has a Minority Report, and what that is when the precogs always tell the future exactly, but occasionally they disagree. And the one that always disagrees is the most powerful one, the female. And so we assume he couldn't have committed this murder. Mm-hmm. Well, when one of the precogs thinks that that's not this person actually doesn't commit the murder, it generates a Minority Report, which is deleted.
Yes.
So he fights tooth and nail to get his Minority Report, because if there is a such thing as a Minority Report, it would bring down pre-crime.
Yeah,
it would have to have infallibility. Yeah. You couldn't have something like this exist with a Minority Report. And then guess what? He doesn't have a Minority Report, and even better, he doesn't commit the murder.
Yeah.
Now, I understand people say, oh, he ended up shooting him because the guy turned the gun on himself through him.
No, it was after the time.
But it was after the time went off. So, no, that's not what it was. He didn't do it.
Yeah.
And all of the people that were convicted were released.
Yeah.
At the end of the film. It says that.
And I love the lived-in feel of this. I mean, it really is a very smart world that Spielberg set up. Every small little thing that's going on. And I love the lawsuit proof they're going for. Like, they talk about how they can't be in the same room with the precogs because that can be, corruption and whatnot. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that Tom Cruise's character, what's his name? John Anderton. I know it's because they only have one shot to stop the murder from happening, but there's 4 identical houses. And also, like, it feels like also a legality standpoint of, like, you can't just bust into the wrong person's house.
Yeah.
It's actually... It's a good system in place. Unfortunately, he's also a corrupt cop because he keeps breaking the rules. Early on, he's bribing people, he's threatening people.
Well, Colin Farrell busts into Tom Cruise's house and
Yeah.
discovers drugs in his house. This
Yeah.
is a world where a cop can just walk into your house.
Yeah. It's and to wrap it up, I have one fun bit of trivia. This movie takes place in the year 2054. Max von Sydow was 73 when he made this film, which means his character was born in 1981. Don't you feel old now?
He's still older than I am.
Yep. Me too. But not by as much as we hope.
Well, Max von Sydow is going to live forever because he was just in Force Awakens.
He was.
And he was in an Ingmar Bergman film that we adore called The Seventh Seal.
Yeah.
In
the
like
50s?
54, I think. And he's not young in it.
He looks this old in The Exorcist, which came out in the 70s.
Yeah, he's literally The Exorcist. That old dude. That film came out in 73.
We need an old priest and a young priest.
He's going to live forever.
He's the old priest.
Oh, my God.
And-
I hope he does live forever.
Because then we'll be better off.
Because Max von Sydow, he's a treasure.
Don't worry, Fox is also making the Exorcist TV show this year.
I know.
Yeah.
I did know that. Meg got an audition for it. So
Cool. Let's wrap this up.
let's wrap this up. So if you want to get a hold of us, you can email us at letstake5@theartimmortal.com, or you can tweet us at theimmortalspod. That's our Twitter handle. If you want to tell me that Tom Cruise sucks and I shouldn't like him, and I can disagree.
He's
because
great.
He's great.
Let's go.
He's great. I'm sorry. Also, if you want to leave a comment, you can leave a comment at theartimmortal.com. The reason what Immortals comes from is a podcast that Austin runs, and you want to talk about that podcast?
Yeah, it is a podcast where myself and 4 others, we review the 1001 movies, albums, food, songs, children's books, and TV shows that you must consume before you die. And yesterday we released a podcast that involved the film The Asphalt Jungle by John Huston and a little-known book called Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before.
You should listen to the podcast.
I've heard of someone named E.B. White.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
so-
love E.B. White, though.
I love E.B. White, but I've never heard of Charlotte's Web.
No.
If you want to reach out to me or check out some of my stuff, I review video games at Constant Diversion. That's my YouTube channel. And you can check me and my brother out there. He does the editing for those videos, at least the good ones. Other than that, any final thoughts?
Well, I'll catch you next week when we're going to review the film Munich.
Munich, that's right.
That's going to be really good.
You know what? I just got a precog vision,
Uh-oh.
and it says, great movie. That's all it says.
That's what got murdered?
Bye-bye, everyone!
See